Hello and welcome to In the Envelope, an awards podcast. I am your host, Jack Smart, awards editor at Backstage, the most trusted name in casting. I'm here to spotlight some of the most exciting film, television, and theater awards contenders working today. Who is in the running? What makes an awards-worthy performance? And how can you, my dear listener, win a statue of your own? We're sitting down for intimate, inspirational interviews with actors and artists to get that insider's perspective on these questions and more. It's an opportunity for some of today's most talented stars to share their craft and career advice, and maybe, just maybe, provide a tantalizing glimpse in the envelope.
We are given this idea of what the industry is and how we have to change in order to fit inside of it. That is 100% myth, and I want to just debunk that right now. You do not have to change the phenomenal being that makes you shine and glow and grow to fit into something else that is actually just dying to have that. The industry really wants authentic, beautiful, artistic voices. As much as it seems like it doesn't, it does. And especially in the way our climate and the current climate of our culture is progressing, individuality is finally being recognized, uplifted. And so that's a very freeing thought as an artist.
Well, this is a fun one.
It is.
This is a fun one, isn't it? We were there when Gina Rodriguez came into the studio.
Gina and her dog.
And her dog! You know, it's funny, listening back to the interview, you can't hear the dog at all.
No.
Listeners won't even be able to tell there's a dog until we tell them.
Very cute little dog.
Very cute little dog, whose I believe his name was Casper. She brought a dog. The dog sat in the lap the whole time. You wouldn't even know it. She also, this Meryl Streep tote bag that I have with me now, that I have with me always.
If only this was a visual medium.
Yeah, really. That bag definitely sparked the conversation with Gina.
Yes, that's off to a good start.
Yeah, it's a good conversation starter. I have a tote bag of young Meryl Streep. Of course, everyone worships her, but Gina's actually gone out of her way to say before that she wants to be the Latina Meryl Streep, which we talked about. Yeah, I think she is. I really do. I think that. Talk about someone who in the next 5, in the next 10 years, that the accolades that are going to come her way and the glass ceilings she's going to break through and oh my God, she's on a roll already. And with Jane the Virgin, her CW show, which just announced its last season will be the 5th season, which is coming out next year. After that, I can only imagine what Gina's going to accomplish.
Yeah, it's fascinating to imagine what she's going to do next. Yes. And other than the projects that she talks about in this interview, which we can talk about shortly.
Oh my God, she mentioned the Carmen Sandiego, a live action film. Yeah. And also the animated series, which are both going to be on Netflix, I believe, which are already underway apparently. But Gina and her production company, which is called I Can and I Will Productions, she formed it with her friend Emily Gibson. And I would like to read, actually, it's worth reading the mission statement of I Can and I Will. We talked about the name I Can and I Will, and where that came from in this interview. But just so you all know what I Can and I Will does, their mission is to create art that tells stories from the unheard and the unseen, discover and expose new talent, and increases empathy and understanding for all communities. We believe that by breaking societal norms on screen, we can use art to create tolerance.
Love it.
I love it. Yep. I love that Gina's central artistic philosophy is how she chooses her projects. I love that guided her all the way to Jane. We talked a lot about how Jane is this incredible part, multifaceted part that she had to wait for, that she had to be patient. We talked a lot about patience and what was required in that.
And she talks about how she really worked her way to this point. She talks about how she'd held a boom, she'd swept the floor practically, she'd done all the jobs. So actually having a production company and being involved in more than just in front of the camera stuff.
Totally. She's now directed episodes of Jane the Virgin. Yeah. And she just starred in Annihilation, which was this big movie co-starring Natalie Portman. We talked a little bit about that too, because that's part of her. I think it's step one of Gina's world domination. Yeah. I'm ready for her to take over the world. And I'm just going to be like, we're going to be cheering from the sidelines for her. I'm so excited.
And I know this is maybe trite to say, but she was like the nicest person. Seriously.
Yeah. Oh,
so
my gosh.
nice on and off camera.
So I do wish this was one of those where I wish we'd had a microphone in the elevator on the way up.
Yeah.
She was really lovely on the elevator.
Yeah.
Things that listeners who maybe don't watch Jane the Virgin or who do, regardless, what they need to know. We did talk about the season 4 twist. When we interviewed her, it had just happened, the season 4 finale. I made a note of this, about 3 minutes into the interview with Gina, which I don't know what minute mark that's going to be on the podcast episode.
Shall I put a sound effect in just before?
No, I don't think it's a big deal. Gina is the one who spoils it, and I don't think it's a big deal if you're a fan of Jane the Virgin, but you haven't caught up yet. Maybe you do skip the first couple minutes of this interview because we do make reference to the really impressive, really mind-boggling twist.
Yeah.
This show is so good at it. The amount of plot that this show packs into each and every episode, but especially their season finales, they just go for it.
Yeah.
It's Jennie Snyder Urman, who she paints herself into corners. She's really inspired by these. It's based on an actual Venezuelan telenovela, but I loved hearing about Gina creating the character of Jane, and Gina's the only one who gets all the secrets about what's to come. And it is a bummer that it's the last season of the show to come. But like we said, I think it just means really great things for Gina. This was such a great interview. I got emotional too when she talked about her uncle being really grateful for being alive every day. And there's this issue of her dad had a tumor at one point early in Gina's life. And it did affect her own philosophy. And in a way, it led to the creation of I Can and I Will Productions, which is interesting too.
Yeah.
There's some really great acting advice in here.
Definitely.
If you're as in awe of Gina Rodriguez as we are, her work on this show, listen in, man. Hey, are you ready? Yes, you, listener. Are you ready to take the advice and the inspiration you've heard here in today's interview and use it in your own acting career? Is it something maybe you've always considered doing? Are you at the very beginning of your acting career? Are you well into your acting career and you're a fan of this podcast and you're ready to take those next steps? Backstage is here for you. This podcast is brought to you by Backstage, and what we are offering listeners to this podcast is a free 30-day trial. That's right. We are giving you 30 days completely free to try out Backstage. All you need to do is go to checkout, backstage.com/subscribe, and enter the code ENVELOPE. That's right. If you enter the code ENVELOPE at checkout, ENVELOPE, that's how you spell envelope, you get 30 free days on backstage.com. Browse our thousands of casting notices. Learn why it's the world's #1 casting platform. If you are an actor and you haven't signed up yet for Backstage, I don't know what to tell you. Get on it. Gina Rodriguez is an actor, producer, and director, best known, of course, for her astonishing work as the titular role in the CW's Jane the Virgin, the comedy-drama romance inspired by telenovelas from Jennie Snyder Urman, and one of the only series around featuring a Latina lead. In 2014, for the show's first season, Gina won the Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a TV Comedy. She's also known for her film work in Philly Brown and Annihilation, her activism and philanthropy, her production company I Can and I Will, and her wonderful interviews. So here it is, our chat with Gina Rodriguez. You're the voice of Carmen Sandiego. Are you Will?
Yeah.
What can you tell me about that?
It's badass.
Is it too early in the process, or are you already?
No, I mean we've already done season 2. Yes.
I'm so excited.
The animation, but we haven't started working on the live action yet. So
right.
It's very exciting.
2 separate projects. Mm-hmm. That's such a specific form of nostalgia for me, like a very specific part of childhood. That's like
Same.
Carmen Sandiego. It's how I learned about geography and
Same.
So weird that's how.
And all the games.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
I was super into
the
it.
game show on PBS was my jam.
Totally.
So it's very exciting. It's very much a specific time in my life.
Yeah.
Also. Do I have to be like this?
Oh no, I think you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine wherever. You sound great.
Is that all right?
Yeah, we can catch you. You're good.
We're good? Okay. Thank you, Sam.
Gina Rodriguez, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
As I was saying to you, we've tried to get you on for a long time.
I would have come.
I know. It's so great
I'm
that
missing your calls. I didn't get your texts.
I know, but it's actually kind of great when someone like you is like, oh, she must be too busy to come on this podcast because she's busy taking over the world.
Oh, I love
she's
you.
Like, I'm sure that means she's like busy and doing her thing.
That's the kind, loving, positive perspective, and I appreciate that.
Exactly. And I'm also loving that now is the time when you're here because season 4 of Jane the Virgin just ended.
Ooh.
And as far as season finales go,
that was a pretty good one, right?
The show's had some really, I feel like they've raised the bar of season finales in general.
Yeah.
And this recent twist, it's certainly all anybody can talk about right now at this moment.
It was a secret I had to keep for like a year and a half.
You did. Yeah, I heard that you're the only actor who knew.
Yeah.
Is that true of most of the shows, like big twists and turns? Are you in on all of them?
You know what's crazy is that, like, in the beginning, Jennie, when we first started together, we're like each other's muse. She is definitely the woman that I mean, there was a point where I wanted to just make my father happy, and it switched over to Jennie Urman. It was like, got Dad done. Now I just want to make Jennie happy. She's incredible and an insane writer, just so talented.
Oh, yeah.
But the first season, she would let me in a little bit to either help navigate through Jane's journey, so we made it very specific.
Totally.
But she really didn't do it as much in the beginning. And then, like, we got our second year, and her and I got closer.
Yeah.
And then she started spilling more. And then by the third year, I was in on a lot more than...
Yeah.
I got to get inside her brain some of the time.
Right.
So she's, that's my bestie. I love her so much.
I mean, you knew even before the actor involved in the giant twist, you knew even before he or she did.
Well, because, it was huge for Jennie to take such a leap. And this was something that she had already created. This was something that was already her plan.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And Michael...
Multiple seasons of planning.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, she has always had an idea for Jane as a full, like, a beginning, middle, and end to, like, this sliver of this woman's life.
Sure.
And that was something I was aware of from the beginning, that she was very clear about the journey she wanted to take this character on.
Yeah.
Which is very cool, and seldom do you have that opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Because nothing has ever really lagged. Nothing's ever kind of drawn on. And nothing's ever been like, what are we doing here? What's happening?
There's no, like, there's no fat.
There's no fat.
Totally.
And it's that, that's a gift.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Such a gift.
And it's a show that it's the kind of writing where she almost is trying to paint herself into corners and then get herself out of them.
Yes.
And the audience is like, well, they can't pull that off.
And they do.
You fully do.
She's really, really next level. And I don't think that she's even spoken enough about, because they talk about showrunners and they talk about these incredible writers. And we, in our culture now, which has never really praised the writer or the director, we're really making that shift, which is awesome because,
especially in TV.
Art of television, the art of film, the art of theater is a collaborative, whether anybody wants to believe it or not. That totem pole of politics is bullshit.
Totally.
Every part is needed.
Yeah.
That's why I never really understand when I come across an ego in art, because that's just the death of talent.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, because
it's hoarding. Yeah.
Yeah, one puzzle piece is off or doesn't feel collaborated with, and the project doesn't work.
Amazing. Yeah.
And so, Jennie's very good about that. But, going back to Michael, when she told me she knew I was going to be devastated, that I was going to lose him as an acting partner.
Oh, uh-huh.
I personally was devastated.
Of course.
And she was too. And we didn't, and everybody loved Michael so much that I think her plan was even to kill him off sooner and to wait an even longer break.
Right, because he was shot in the season 2 finale.
Season 2 finale, yes.
Yeah.
And then he didn't pass away till mid-season 3.
Right.
And she was like, I'm taking a big leap here. I'm killing him off, and then I'm pushing us 3 years forward.
Yeah, which that right there was a huge out of left field innovation.
Yes.
That once again you guys stuck the landing and it totally works.
And it's all Jennie. I really can't.
Totally. And because you're the star and because you're the titular role and you're in pretty much every scene, it is easy for people to be like, oh well, Gina Rodriguez is Jane. She is the writing. She is the show. She decides all of this.
Yeah, people get
that's not always
like
true.
Personally attacked. Like they're like, why would you do that to me, Gina?
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, I would love to take credit for the writing because it's so damn good, but that's not where I lie.
But in terms of the first season, in terms of you first getting involved, you do have a lot to do with the creation of Jane and with the two of you collaborating together to make this a nuanced, three-dimensional person, the likes of which we've never seen.
Rarely do we see it in women of color, that's for sure.
Nope. Yep.
And rarely do we see it in women, period, in the history of women, on television specifically.
Absolutely.
I mean, we did have some strong women back in the 80s, I felt like. Some of those shows were next level.
Sure.
And, I mean, all those like Family Matters and Family Ties. And, like those women were just such, prominent figures. But it's nice to be able to have that opportunity,
oh my God,
And I waited patiently for Jane.
Yes, you've said this, and it makes sense because as you've also pointed out, you had Ugly Betty to kind of, in terms of predecessors and in terms of Latina representation.
Who was my dream, and I love America so much. Yes.
And there were, there's a couple other examples, but really not that many of leading ladies.
No, not too many.
And Jane is above and beyond. It's not just that she's a leading lady and she's Latina, it's that she's extremely specific and that the show is as ambitious as it is, even just in terms of like melding genres.
Yeah, sure.
And being able to pull off the twists. They are big, juicy twists that are fun, but they're also kind of metaphors, and they force you as an actor to deal with these like absurd sometimes stakes.
100%.
And you have to deal with them like a real person.
Yes.
And you have to be like, what would happen if I just married someone and they were shot on our menu?
100%. Yeah.
How do I get there? And what are the emotions that I have to get to?
What's interesting about Jane is that when I first was given the project, when I first read and I auditioned like everybody else. This was no offer. This was me like going through the gauntlet like everyone else. And I read it and I was like, I know this girl. I know this woman. She's my little cousin Jocelyn. She is girls I grew up with. She is the girl that I went to Catholic school with. She is like, I know this woman, and this is so well-rounded, and wow, they want a Latina in this role, and amazing, and this is so incredible. This is such a great opportunity. And then the content was like, oh, I'm playing with like campy.
Yep.
To comedic,
to interesting,
right? To dramatic,
sometimes clownish, almost.
Exactly, totally. But you have to the conviction. It's all in the conviction.
Oh, cool. That's almost like the secret to navigating all of the different tones.
100%. It's like whatever it is, we're living in it, and we're living in it with full conviction. And if I have to go there, I'll go there physically with physical comedy or my straight face, or I will bring on the tears and I will make you feel what she's feeling.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
How much of that is like relying on your co-stars, your on-screen family?
Well, I mean, I think that there is so much strength on that and that cast that I couldn't do it alone.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't do it alone. If I was living in these realities, convicted, and nobody else was, that would be horrendous,
right?
But I have so many incredible artists to work off of. Jaime Camil, when it comes to that campy, clownish, but you believe it, comedy.
Yeah. Talk about conviction.
Talk about conviction. I mean, he is like the most lovable narcissist you've ever met in your life,
totally.
And with his heart is as big as his ego, it's just like,
and how he balances those two, so.
And he does,
totally.
And to be able to work with him in those spaces, I know I can go to town, I know I can go to the end, to the next universe, and he's gonna follow me there, and he's gonna be like, we're on Mars for sure, we're on Mars, not a problem.
Mars. I love it.
This is where we eat now,
right?
And then Yael, who's gotten much more grounded, dramatic, you know what I'm saying? And so there's just a lot of wonderful players to work with, not to mention guest stars that we bring in every single
they're
episode.
Getting more and more impressive every season.
Oh gosh, it's so, and we got Rosario this past season. I love her.
Brooke Shields.
Stop it. Everybody.
Legends.
She's they both are phenomenal. And a lot of strong women characters. One thing Jennie knows how to write is very clear human beings.
Oh yeah.
And then it just so happens women get to play them.
Yeah, and it really does feel like play. Play.
Oh, we still are playing.
Absolutely.
There's
so much terrain to play in. There's so many new.
And there's no ego on set. So there's a lot of love, a lot of gratitude, a lot of like any season could be our last. So let's enjoy this.
Oh, sure. I mean, that's healthy to have that perspective on any TV show.
On anything, period. Yeah. I mean, I'm working on a project right now. It's my first film that I'm producing with a producing partner with Netflix called Someone Great. Female director, female leads, 3 female at the helm of it.
DeWanda Wise was in the podcast just yesterday.
Yes, we talked about it. Yes, she's next level. I've known her since I was 17 years old, and
sweet.
We went to college together.
I should have asked her about you. I wasn't sure you were going to be here. I was she's not
the best.
100%.
She's the best.
She really is the best.
Yeah. It's as though I've never worked on a film before. Like the idea that I am done waiting for something to be gone to then rejoice in it. I am done like fighting for something after I've lost it. I want to fight for something while I have it, and I want to enjoy something while it's here. And that's like something I think that we practice on Jane. And I want to practice in my life, period. So
interesting.
who knows if
take
this
anything
next...
for granted.
You can't.
Yeah.
Nothing. Especially in the world of art. Because it's so subjective. Because you get so few opportunities. Or so many. Or who knows. There's no rhyme or reason for it. So we have a lot of gratitude on Jane.
Yeah. Well, I almost feel like, especially as an actor, you don't have necessarily, unless you're doing what you're doing and taking the reins and forming your own production company and all of that, you don't necessarily have as much control over what you get to play, who you get to play, how often you get to work. And so,
nor are we given the power at the beginning of our career to say no.
Yeah, exactly.
Nor are we taught how to say no. Nor are we taught to cultivate our journey, whether it be in art or in anything. I mean, I don't really feel... I was very lucky enough to have those giants in my home that said, not everything has to be yours. There's room for all of us. You help others succeed, you too will succeed.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, and these were things that were so important in the beginning of my career when, as a woman of color, you're given very skewed
and fewer
opportunities and options for character work. So still, although it's changing.
In 4 years since Jane's been on the air, that is a time when a lot of other female showrunners who are also starring in their own shows, it's become a trend. Thank God.
Thank God.
Finally.
Because then it gives us more perspective. Art is used to reflect life so that we may be able to understand our own. Why not reflect life, damn it?
Absolutely.
Why not reflect the life that we walk around with every single day?
Yeah, and reflect America.
Yeah, and that is a melting pot. That is a stew, and that is multiple colors and creeds and religions and cultures and sexual orientations and that's important. I think we're seeing it more than ever, especially with social media and people being so vocal about their desire to be reflected on the medium that most people rejoice in, most people celebrate.
Oh, I love that.
What do we celebrate the most? I mean, people walk around with their cell phones like this to their face.
Yeah.
What is coming out of that cell phone is a reflection of the way that person is going to feel about themselves.
Yep.
So how do we as artists infuse that with as much colorfulness as possible?
Yeah, media representation matters. I mean, the stuff that's coming out of your phone, it matters.
It matters.
Partly because we're so glued to our phones all day.
100%, which is very dangerous, but that's a different conversation.
Completely. I'm going back to this idea of anyone being in their early career and having to balance, as always, saying yes to everything because you need work, but also being discerning and being operating. I want to ask you about Devious Maids. And why, Devious Maids was an opportunity that presented to you.
So what happened with Devious Maids was I was presented the opportunity to chemistry read for the project, and it was the only project available to me at the time, which I think was more disheartening than the project itself, because it was wonderful, and those women are fantastic, and Judy Reyes is the love of my life, and Danya Ramirez is so talented, and I'm so excited she's on Once Upon a Time right now, and and Rosalind Sanchez and her doing Eva Longoria's show. I support my women to the top, and I think a lot of people during that time got it confused that I was putting down the project. On the contrary, I was cultivating my journey.
Yeah.
My journey doesn't have to look like anybody else's. Yeah. Nor does that mean that I'm putting anybody else's journey down.
No.
Because what's good for one person is good for them and maybe not good for the rest of us.
Yeah.
And so we have to choose our journeys and do it with integrity. And they wouldn't have wanted me on that set because I wouldn't have been happy.
Sure.
You put them, Edie Ganem, who played Valentina, was amazing. And she was happy. And you want that actress.
Right.
Totally. And so I do that not out of vanity or having this I'm better than, because I'm not better than shit. It's true. And I'm deserving of nothing.
But see, there's the gratitude thing again.
I'm deserving of nothing. And I didn't deserve that project because I wasn't going to give my all to it.
There you go. Okay.
They deserved better.
Yeah. Well, and I think there was something about you Jane the Virgin was the big breakout, and you made headlines with this Devious Maids thing. And what was a marvel to me at the time was the way that you were able to explain it, as you have just now, where you still made it clear that you were from a place of complete gratitude. Of course, it's not about the project itself.
And I want them to succeed.
Not your path.
Yes.
Right. And that you had the wherewithal to be like, I am going to be patient and I'm going to wait for what turned out to be the role.
The best thing that could have happened to me. Even if this is the only thing that happens to me. Dead ass. Yeah. If this is the only thing that happens to me, oh, God, what a ride. I'll take it.
That's beautiful.
I've done it, you know. Yeah. This was a dream I had when I was like 15 years old.
Yeah.
It was something I kept saying to myself, I want to be in a TV show for 4 to 5 years. In between each season, I want to do a movie that I absolutely love. Oh, cool. A studio film, a passion, a passion project.
Yeah.
I want to produce one. I want to do an indie. I want to direct one. I want to, so I had this goal for 10 plus years.
This was at age 15. You knew that was the exact schedule.
I didn't get Jane until I was 29.
Yeah.
So talk about
now
patience.
You've stuck to that schedule, right? You've made it
sure have.
Between every season.
Yeah, sure have.
That's awesome.
And I think that's what happens when you have patience. And I also think that's what happens when you don't see every opportunity as your last. And also have a sense of self-worth. Yeah. My self-worth of what I am capable of doing when I am committed is next level. When I'm not, I shouldn't give myself to you.
Totally.
Yeah. And so that's what it was. And it's funny because me and Danya talked about it. She's like, well, she was like offended, right?
Well,
which I can completely understand. Yeah. But why be offended if it's great for you?
Sure. Exactly.
There's no reason to.
Yeah, and so that ego thing.
And every project that I say no to or that I don't get, right? So if it's a project that I've auditioned for that I would love that I don't get, it was not a story I was meant to tell.
Yeah.
And that actress is going to do a much better job because it was her story to tell. And the projects that I say no to are projects that I don't believe I'm going to be able to be the best for them. But I always ask myself, if this project succeeds, is your ego going to be hurt? And if my ego says, no, you want them to succeed, then I know that is not a project I need to fight for.
Amazing. Yeah.
And that's how I felt about Devious Maids. I wanted them to succeed, which they did for 4 fantastic seasons. And I was happy and content. So that's how I go about my choices in art always, because it's the ego is a very dangerous space.
Yes.
And so I make sure that I have a conversation with her first.
Yeah.
And not let her steal my joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not let her get in the way.
Yeah, well, especially in terms of being in the moment, in front of a camera, for example.
Present and alive and pulsing, yeah.
Yeah, totally. I do feel like there is something to be said about that first of all, the idea of patience, of waiting for the Jane role to come along, but something about the level of commitment you had to the cultivation of the self. That's what manifested Jane to happen. Jane was created because you put that into the universe.
I hope so. I would like to believe that. I mean, I keep trying to plant things in my garden and watch them grow.
There you go, yeah. Some time, some patience.
Lots of time. I'm in the long game.
Yeah, okay.
Long game.
So talk to me about this long game. We talked about Meryl Streep. You've mentioned that you want to be the Latina Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
Is that still?
Well, it's so funny. It's so funny that I have to say Latina, right? Can I just be Meryl Streep? But I had to say it.
I think that one day she will be the white Gina Rodriguez.
That will never happen, but I love your commitment to this conversation right now. No, she's
You've met
so
her, yes?
stellar. I have.
Yes.
What it is about Meryl Streep that I love so much, and even Rita Moreno. I mean, Rita Moreno is like she's my living legend, my living icon. Absolutely. She is an icon to Latino community. Without a doubt, she is definitely someone that we luckily have to look up to.
Still working today.
Still working.
Ass.
Oh my God! One day at a time. Hello, Justina Machado. That whole I love. Oh, she's so good on that show.
She and Justina.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, Rita. And you just think to yourself, that woman's 86 years old. I need to get my shit together.
Totally.
Just all of it. Ugh. Just living. Just voguing.
Her
on
very
that
first
stage.
entrance on that show.
You're just
like, give her every award right now.
All of the awards. That's what I said. I literally texted her and I was like, all the awards. You're going to get all the awards. Yeah. And she was like, Mija, I hope you're right. I'm like, this one's saying that. And she's had like an Oscar, a Tony, and a Grammy. Yeah, she's the EGOT of the year. So the thing about Meryl Streep is that I've always wanted to live on my success because of my talent.
Oh, of course.
That is has always been my number one goal. I would love to one day know that I am sitting on the chapters I have written because of my talent and because of nothing else. Not because I've let go of my integrity, not because I said yes when I really wish I said no.
There you go.
Like that's what I literally give myself moment to moment reminder of, like, how am I doing this with integrity, with faith, with morality? Because at the end of the day, when I'm dying, that's kind of all you have. I feel like my uncle right now is in hospice, and
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay, because he is a great reflection of, and I think having somebody in your life like what's happening to me right now really does make you reflect on the choices you make, what you prioritize on.
Oh, everything becomes crystal clear.
Crystal clear. And, and I see my uncle and he says to me, "Que buena suerte estoy vivo." What luck that I'm still alive. Like, he says that to me every time he sees me. In Spanish, "Gina, I am so lucky I woke up alive today." Yeah. And I stop and I say to myself, like, wow, very interesting that somebody can wake up so happy that they just got another day.
Yeah.
And, like, there's just really nothing you can compare to that. There's really nothing you can say has to do with that. So,
like you said, it's not just taking the movie or the TV show for granted. It's taking every breath you take.
You
can't take any of those for granted.
You can.
Totally.
So, so because of that reflection, it has definitely sharpened my priorities in this industry.
And it sounds like you're thinking about your legacy.
And I'm thinking about the
garden.
The garden, and the garden that I plant with integrity and faith. And it's very difficult to navigate through this industry with that.
Oh, of course.
With that in
and
mind.
Like you said, the limited options sometimes. I mean, Annihilation.
The many limited options.
Yeah. Annihilation was such a cool choice for you. It's like a cool choice for anyone to get involved in, like a trippy sci-fi. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that you, like you said, your schedule of, like, I'm going to film a season of this TV show and then do a crazy indie film. It's about as different from Jane the Virgin.
As much as I can get, yeah. And it's funny, when I sat with Alex Garland, he's like, it's nice to sit with you, Gina, because you're nothing like Jane. And he was like, and I was hoping you weren't. And I was like, I'm going to take that as a compliment. Right. And he's like, well, because then otherwise you couldn't play Anya. Sure.
And
I see you as Anya.
Oh, cool.
And I was like,
based on what he kind of had perceived of you, or?
Yeah, just like watching some of my interviews and stuff, he was just like, you're not Jane. Like, people keep saying, like, there's no way she can do that.
Wow, did you get that job because he watched your interviews? That's interesting.
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just know that he was one of the first, him and Peter Berg, to say, like, I see this sweet girl on television. And there's more.
And there's more.
That exists.
Yeah, cool.
So he gave me a really great opportunity to spread my wings. Alex did.
Yeah.
And I love that man. And he is an incredible filmmaker.
So much fun.
It was so much fun. And to be with those incredible women, to be with those 4 outstanding, empowering, uplifting, non-competitive, non-ego-driven women, I was at home.
Yeah.
I was in my paradise.
It's too rare. It's too rare to see something
super
like
rare.
That. Yeah.
But to work with a lead like Natalie, who is so giving, so generous, you're like, it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah.
Like,
she's sort of doing it all too.
She's doing it all.
Yeah.
She's the kind of lead I hope I can be.
Sure.
Kind of supportive cast member that I hope I can be.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Forget lead number 1, number 2, number 17, who gives a shit. Like I said, it's a puzzle, and she really knows that it's a puzzle.
Yeah.
And she's a great woman to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Oh, my gosh, her performance.
Oh, my God. She's just everything.
That film screwed me up.
Yeah, it's screwy. It's screwy.
Yeah.
It screwed me up, too.
Yeah, just...
It really did. I mean, I shaved all my hair off, and I really went to a space of, like... I mean, I'm a pretty strong, awesome. I'm a pretty strong woman of, like, not putting myself down. I've gone through all body dysmorphia. I've gone through, like, it hits us all.
Absolutely.
Nobody's, like, even my ripped up ass boyfriend who, like, literally has, like, 2 ounces of body fat.
Yeah.
Can talk about about the, like, battles and whatnot. So when I shaved all my hair off and, like, built up traps and was the biggest woman on set, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And it was...
but I loved that about that character.
I mean, no, I loved the shit out of her. Yeah, totally. She lived.
Yeah.
She's not
queer.
Apologetic. She's queer.
Yeah.
She loves her women. She loves herself. And And it was interesting to be in a space where that's not how I felt.
Yeah.
And having to combat that feeling and being like, no, this is what we did, that we did this. I mean, I shaved off my head, and men that I never would have been interested in were taking interest in me.
Oh, cool.
Women, which I love women too, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just like, oh, shit, this is different. This is a very different experience. And so, and then the journey that I go on as a character screwed me up. I was having nightmares.
You gotta use those dark places, right? You gotta use them as fuel.
Something I usually don't use as fuel is negative images, negative thoughts. I usually use positive.
Sure.
Positive can take me to any space. You know, on Jane, when you see me bawling over Michael dying, that's positive thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, people will always say on set, like, how do you cry so quickly? I'm like, I have a lot to be rejoice over. And they're like, what are you rejoicing about? I'm like, tons, you know? And they're like, in this breakup scene? I'm like, yeah.
So is that the secret?
For me, at least.
I'm ashamed to say that was one of my questions. Like, how do you cry so well?
I'm always on the brink of a nervous breakdown. I'm kidding.
No, but I like the answer of like, it's harnessing joy. It's not harnessing like the opposite.
Yeah, because I don't think I would be able to live in that space for that many years on Jane. She cries so much.
Oh, yeah.
She cries like almost every episode.
Totally.
I'm like, damn. Shit. If I wanted to cry in my real life, it doesn't matter. I get to cry on Jane so damn much.
Sure.
I get to use all of it. But I usually go to positive spaces. But for Annihilation, it was a darker space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a
and
different
you could say
experience.
it was a movie about mental health and about depression.
Which, you know, is reflective of my uncle, who's in hospice right now, who suffers from schizophrenia and epilepsy. And it's always been one of my biggest fears is that I would go crazy. Quite literally, one of my biggest fears growing up.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, he was very present in our lives my whole life, and I just was like, oh, it's genetic. Oh, that may happen to me, and that scares me.
It's all the taking nothing for granted thing. Your health, your sanity, your safety, your.
Little did I know I was really going into that role because I wanted to explore something that terrified the shit out of me. And that is very real. You know, I suffer from anxiety and depression, panic attacks through the roof, which, you know, it's interesting because, like I said, the only thing people know about you is what they see on TV, and that's not what you're walking with in real life.
No.
You know, so I wanted to explore that. I wanted to explore my fears and hopefully therapeutically get through them. I think that's what art can do for an artist lots of the time. And it was very helpful. And it did bring me and my uncle closer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What else scares you? And how does it work as an actor? How do you use that?
You know what also scares me and has been scaring me a lot lately is this industry.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, you know, there's been a lot of things that have happened to me personally due to this industry and the recent changes in the past year, which are great.
Yes.
And necessary.
Yeah, yeah.
But they also make you more timid. They have made me a little more timid.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Because
about putting yourself out there in the industry and about
I think or just more so I love to live through transparency. I think that's where I do my best work. As a producer, I'm very transparent with my artists, with the writers that we work with. I want to make the art that they want to make. I'm very transparent about how I feel. And I also know I'm not the end-all be-all.
Sure.
But I like to walk through this industry with honesty. And it's made me a little timid because I don't think many people share that.
Sure. Or to learn in the last year that many people don't share that.
Yeah.
Not as many people as they should.
Yeah. But that's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
baby steps.
Baby steps.
We'll get there.
Yeah, exactly. And as timid as I am, or as like much as that's been scaring me lately, it's just a fear I have to face head on. And you push through it.
And tell me about I Can and I Will. Yeah. Where does that fall into things?
Our production company, or the saying, or
both. First of all, why is it called that? Yeah.
So my father got into a really terrible car accident when I was 15 years old, and he had a parasite in the left side of his brain, and he was having seizures in his car, and they thought it was a tumor, and this is like the shortened version. They thought it was a tumor, and my mother is such a badass woman. Her and my husband, her and my father had already agreed that my father was like, nobody's cutting me open. I'd rather die.
Okay.
Nobody's cutting me open. I don't want to be a vegetable. And at 15, hearing your mother tell the doctor, you're not cutting him open. He doesn't have a tumor.
Heard that happen.
You're not. You're just like, you want Dad to die? Are you? And she saved my father's life.
Yeah.
He didn't have a tumor. He had a parasite they eventually found. If they would have opened up and messed with things, they could have screwed him up terribly. But then he got really into Zig Ziglar and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and Joel Osteen and positive thinking and he always had that, pre-15, but then he went hard. He had time off from work. He was like not sleeping very much because of the medicine and the steroids they were giving him to kill the parasite. And he would whisper in my ear when I was sleeping, "You could be anything you want to be." And I'd be like, "You need to get the out of my room. This shit is creepy." And he's like, "Go back to sleep. I'm talking to your subconscious." And I'm like, "This
does make it not creepy.
Man is creepy." And I was like, "You're not talking to my subconscious. You're waking me the F up. And I want to go to, I don't want to go to school tomorrow anyway." So, so he started making me say in the mirror, "Today's going to be a great day. I can and I will." Oh, cool. And I was like, at first, like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. By the second year, came very habitual. Year 10, I do it on my own. It's a mantra that has, now you're like 17 that I've been saying it.
Cool.
It's a mantra that just reminds me that I can cultivate my own journey. There are outside forces you can never understand and you can never stop, but what you can do, you do, Gina. What is in your power, you do, to the best of your ability. The only way to success is through failure, so you're gonna fail. It's gonna happen. It's okay. It's really okay. And I can and I will is just that. All the projects we've been working on. And so when I wanted to start my own production company, I told my best friend who's sitting out there right now, who I've known for 10 years, that she was going to one day run my company. And she was like, "All right." The same way my dad whispered in my ear and thought I was crazy, I think she probably did too.
Right.
And 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was able to steal her, make her an offer she couldn't refuse. And we started creating projects. Amazing. And the I Can and I Will productions only made sense because it was like, we're going to fail a lot, but we will make this happen. We will make other people's dreams come true. We will make stars. We will make stories that haven't been heard. We will push the limits that have been set up for us. We will knock down the walls that have been built by others. We will do that.
Yes.
It won't be easy, and it won't be tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we will do it, and it'll be done.
It's all there in the name.
Yeah.
Even the idea of...
So it's just the constant reminder. So whenever we're like forgetful, it's like, no, come on, we got this. We can do this. Yeah. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe in 10 years.
And that way each failure is kind of a galvanizing, let's rally.
A new journey.
Yeah.
Not that right. That road didn't work.
Yeah, sure,
onto the next one.
Yeah. That's excellent.
It's cool.
What a great philosophy.
It's fun.
We've talked about what's next. We've talked about your goals for world domination, but
I don't know if I want world domination. I think that's a huge responsibility.
Just like a section of the world.
Yeah, just a little piece of the art. So I can do what makes me fly.
Yeah, and you're getting there. I'm so excited to see where that cultivation of that path takes you.
That also scares the shit out of me, but that's okay.
Especially if you're blazing new trails and you don't have a precedent of it is scary. Yeah.
But luckily, I do feel like the glass has been broken by many others, and I just have to keep smashing it with that ledgehammer.
Yeah, totally. Do you have any dream roles? Like an existing role, I guess, like a Carmen Sandiego.
Well, Carmen Sandiego was definitely a dream. Yeah. And like when I got the animation, the dream to make the live action happened very quickly. I couldn't even fathom why it wasn't happening. And then when we pitched it to Netflix, they were like, yes, let's do this.
That's so cool.
Netflix is a phenomenal place that has employed lots of artists. Totally. And it's a very incredible company. Yeah. I mean, I've been very blessed to work with some incredible human beings, not only just at Netflix, but like this movie I just did, Miss Bala, that's coming out next January, around the same time as Carmen Sandiego, with Sony, Sony really trying to get behind diverse voices. That was huge. It was 95% Latinos. Production and crew. Cast and crew. It was next level. Female director. I mean, that's not an opportunity you get often. And action. I want to do action.
Oh, cool, cool.
But I'm trying to be a superhero, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want wings. I also love I'm a fighter. I did boxing since I was 3 years old. Cool. I've done Muay Thai heavily in the past 2 years. I want to do judo and jiu-jitsu, and I want to be able to do my own stunts and like scale down the sides of buildings, which I'm going to do with Carmen.
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Because Carmen is a superhero.
You already are. Yeah, she already kind of is.
It's a superhero we created. Yeah. I mean, well, she existed already, but like taking it to my own hands.
But she doesn't need to scale buildings, come to think of it. Like she is kind of an action
100% scales buildings. Awesome. This girl is everything.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for that movie.
Let's, right now we're looking for a badass writer to create the universe and a badass director. So if you're listening to this and you think you know Carmen Sandiego, well, come play with us because we're trying to create a world that existed.
If you get a writer and director because of this podcast, I'll
take you to dinner.
I will. Yeah. I don't know what I want.
We'll take you to dinner.
I don't know what I would get, but
we'll take you to dinner. I'll ask Meryl to come.
Yes.
Like I have that pool. I'm like, Meryl, so small little favor I need from you. Really. This is a promise that I made. But yeah, if we get a writer and a director from this podcast, you're coming on set and we're going to dinner.
Then I will know that we've made it. We're going to try to make this podcast. This podcast needs to make it too.
Yes.
Do you have any parting words of wisdom for actors, especially those at the beginning of their careers, who would like to break any sort of a glass ceiling?
I feel like every artist breaks a glass ceiling. Because you want to know something, being an artist is so freaking difficult. It's so scary. It's
isolating.
It's just so terrifying. And it is difficult. Like many other, I mean, my sister's a doctor. I can't stand up here and say what I'm doing is difficult because she saves lives. Right. But I'm not saving anyone's life. But what I would say to artists starting off is that, we are given this idea of what the industry is and how we have to change in order to fit inside of it. That is a myth. That is 100% myth, and I want to just debunk that right now. You do not have to change the phenomenal being that makes you shine and glow and grow to fit into something else that is actually just dying to have that. Like, the industry really wants authentic, beautiful, artistic voices. As much as it seems like it doesn't, it does. And especially in the way our climate and the current climate of our culture is progressing. Individuality is finally being recognized, uplifted, and admired.
That's a commodity.
And so that's a very freeing thought as an artist. There is nothing you have to do to change. Literally today you are enough as long as you are working on your craft.
Yeah.
As long as you got your tool belt of technique. As long as you are watching every film and TV show. As long as you are doing extra work and stand-in work and watching the people that you love do what they do, because there are some phenomenal artists out there that if you sit back and watch them, you will gather so much information. As a fighter, the strongest thing to do is to sit on the side of that ring and watch somebody else fight. You learn.
Cool.
So don't be afraid to do anything you can to get on a set so you can watch other people. Sure. I've been a stand-in, I've been an extra, I've held a boom, I've done my own indies. There's nothing better than the humbling feeling of being part of a crew when all you want to do is be in front of that camera, because it gives you such an amount of gratitude towards the process, and then when you are actually there, damn, it's like, you see, I know it all. I know what it feels like. Now, when I am the person in front of the camera, I'm going to be good to the stand-in that has to be there hours and probably wants to be in my position one day. And the extras that are making the entire scene feel full and alive, because it's a club scene and you can't do that shit by yourself. Totally. And so the gratitude of having all those puzzle pieces there to contribute. So be a puzzle piece. Get your tools right. Collect your tool belt. Be gracious and do not change. You're perfect and you're ready.
That. Yes. It's like, don't change for the industry. Have the industry change for you.
Hello. That's what I've been doing. And secretly it's working.
There you go. It's almost like if you can cultivate your own niche in the industry, then the industry will adapt itself in order to make that niche at a higher level.
And there's room for all of us.
Yeah.
There's room for all of us.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Netflix is actually making that even more possible.
I was going to say.
Thank you, Netflix. There's lots
TV
of room.
And especially Netflix.
There's a lot of room for all of us.
There's a lot of yeses.
Help the people around you.
Yeah.
And you too will get help. Because the same people you see on your way up are the same people you see on your way down. So be good.
Way down.
Be good.
Yeah.
Makes it for a much easier way down.
Yeah.
It's not as bumpy.
Yeah. Amazing. That's phenomenal advice. And it is just it's almost a simple shift as an actor to, especially if you're struggling with all these auditions, if you go on 20 auditions in a row, you get 20 no's, to say to yourself, well, I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to stop bringing me, my cultivated self, my cultivated talents into each audition.
Mm-hmm. One is going to hit.
And hoping that they want that, rather than going in and saying, what do you guys want me to be, or who do you want me to...
It's giving over your power.
Yeah.
As artists, we cannot give over our power because they want us just as much as we want them, because they need us just as much as we need them, because again, it's a puzzle piece.
Totally,
right?
Totally.
So it is a very difficult thing to do in the earlier stages of your career, is to be aware of your power and to be kind with it, but at the same time understand that you do have a say in this journey. Is a wild thing to try to absorb at the age of 21, 22, 23.
Absolutely.
That is very difficult. So don't hurt yourself if you can't. But remember, all those no's, they're just in place so that the yes is really right.
Yeah.
Really right.
You did that patience thing again,
that
too.
yes is everything.
Wait for the Jane part.
Wait for you, Jane.
Along. Yeah.
Yeah. Not necessarily a lead,
Sure.
That's it. Just wait for your whatever your Jane is.
It could be anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
But it'll be worth it. It will. And it'll do for you more than you could ever have imagined that patience could have done.
Yeah. I love that they want authenticity. It's as simple as an aspiring actor. It's simple to just, it's easier said than done. But
just like love is, right?
Ooh.
Right?
Oh my God.
So true though, right?
So true. All they want is authenticity from you. That's all you can give.
That's all you can give.
In the Envelope, an awards podcast, is recorded at Lotus Productions, Hyperbolic Audio, and Big Yellow Duck in New York City, and Soundbox LA, Mark Grouse Studios, and Buzzies in Los Angeles. Like, rate, subscribe, tell your friends, and follow us on Twitter at In the Envelope. Thanks as always to producer, editor, and all-around podcast extraordinaire Jamie Muffett, and thank you to the team at Backstage, the most trusted name in casting. That's Peter Rappaport, Rawaan Alkhatib, Francis Ramos, Caitlin Watkins, Lauren Routt, Mark Stinson, and especially Kasey Howe. For more awards and industry coverage, head over to Backstage.com. Thank you for listening. Tune in next time for another glimpse in the Envelope.